Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at where next week to 10 days. In today's video, this takes us to around the 9th, 10th of July. So we're going into the second week of the new month. And it's still the same idea really, that westerlies are going to be dominating. I think there will be some drier weather through the course of next week, particularly down in the south where we get little transient ridges of high pressure. But overall, it still looks a pretty unsettled and changeable week to 10 days coming up. I'll show you a bit detailed in a second. Before I get on with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on other pages. If you have a browse widgets and click through the links, you'll be able to pay for the website, and thanks so much for doing that. There's also video ads to most pages which own that content when you watch very close back up again, and it does help to pay for gavsweathervids.com. We'll start off 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts for the next week to 10 days. So we've got the ECMWF here on the top of the GFS, which we'll have a look at in a moment. Is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet, is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure being moved around by the jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and red, yellow, orange, brighter colours extrapolates to high pressure. So for the next week to 10 days, we see we've got a trough of low pressure in the Atlantic, and then we've got the jet stream coming through the country a bit like that with the ECMWF. So it's a westerly flow. We have got a ridge down to the southwest, which at times looks as though it's throwing a bit of a ridge into the south, but overall it still looks like we'll keep quite a lot of energy coming through from the Atlantic. So I suspect it'll be a fairly changeable period. The GFS is actually a little bit more unsettled this morning than the ECMWF. We've got blue colours here around Scandinavia and to the north of the UK, and also in the Atlantic as well. So it's just deeper with the trough, and suggestion that the jet stream is a bit stronger running through the country. That looks very unsettled. But both of them are westerly. Both of them would be driving in some rain at times. These are BGFS temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average, and we're going below average into the weekend. It looks like we're staying below average generally through into next week as well. In fact, there's no sign of anything particularly warm coming up there, so that's a pretty chilly looking ensemble, certainly for the time of year anyway, and in terms of the upper air temperatures. Now down on the surface, when the sun comes out, I've been explaining this in recent videos, when the sun comes out on the surface, it's still going to be fairly warm because the sun has such strength to it. So even though the upper air temperatures are cooler than average, in any sunny breaks we should still rise to around 20, 21 degrees in the south. But if it's overcast or if it's raining, then it really will be feeling quite cool over the coming few days. And there is precipitation coming up, so we can see fairly regular rainfall spikes there throughout the period, really. There's no sign of a sustained drier spell. You wouldn't say it's a deluge of a period at all, but there is rain coming through, probably in showery bands at fairly regular intervals, and that's the ensemble for London. If we have a look at the ensemble for Manchester, if we can just do that, then we can see that actually up there in the northwest, the rainfall spikes are much greater. So it does imply that the north and west gets the wettest of the conditions with these westerly winds, while the south and east tends to be quite a bit drier. Although even there, not complete dry, there will be showery bands coming through. It's just they won't be quite as intense as further north and west. The temperature anomaly from the 30th of June through to the 8th of July comes out cooler than average, so we've got a cool start to July coming up most definitely. Precipitation is generally average to above average through most parts of the country. Here's the GFS then for Monday next week. We're bringing an area of low pressure into the north and west. There's a little bit of a ridge down in the south, but this low pressure looks like it'll bring rain to most parts of the country early next week, followed by quite a chilly northerly wind. Then a little bit of a transient ridge builds there for Wednesday. How long does that last? Not very long. We go through to Thursday and Friday next week, and we've still got low pressure out to the northwest. However, the ridge is building down to the south, so it is trying to keep southern parts somewhat drier, the rain probably up in the north, before the low pressure then breaks through across the whole country over the weekend of the 9th, 10th of July. That looks very unsettled there for that second weekend of July. I think that's a weekend of Wimbledon finals and also of the British Grand Prix as well. So that looks a little bit impactful there, that low pressure for those events. Of course, they can cover the roof at Wimbledon now, so they're not really delayed by the rain. the ECMWF also looks very unsettled for the start of next week, with an area of low pressure moving in from off the Atlantic, bringing showers, longer spells of rain, particularly to the northern part of the country. And then this looks really quite slack as we go into the middle of next week. I think there's further showers, possibly even longer spells of rain coming through then. All looking very flabby on Thursday, the 7th of July next week, but it's still unsettled. Certainly showers, if not some longer spells of rain. Also, and then we go through into that weekend of the 9th and the 10th of July. And, well, actually a little bit of an improvement there, probably temporary, but it does build up ever such a slight ridge over that weekend. So that does look a little bit better for those events at Wimbledon and at Silverstone as well. But the overall message, it's still as it has been. We've been doing these updates for the past few days, and the overall message is still that it's looking very, very unsettled indeed, with the weather driving in off the Atlantic, bringing showers or longer spells of rain. Just say about what happened yesterday. I know I said at the end of the 5-day forecast that we'd be having a 40-day look ahead with the Beijing Climate Centre. Unfortunately, the charts at the Beijing website hadn't updated. I haven't fully updated. Some of them were missing, so I was unable to do that. Very sorry about that if you was expecting to see that Beijing update yesterday. We'll hopefully be able to bring that to you next Wednesday. Tomorrow it's JMA Friday, so if the websites at the Japanese Meteorological Agency and at the CFSV2, if they've updated, there's no guarantee they will, because sometimes they don't, but hopefully they will. If they have updated, then I'll be able to bring you a longer range look ahead tomorrow. And while we're on the subject of talking about what's ahead, on Sunday we've got the winter 2016-2017 NAO forecast. So very, very interesting that will be. Keep an eye out for that on Sunday. But for next week, 10 days, it's staying westerly, it's staying unsettled and quite cool as well. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.